All right. Hello out there in Zoom land. All right, let's get the meeting started because it could be a long agenda tonight. Let's start it off with the 5-year water capital plan and water rate increase scenario. Mr. Herrick, do you want to?
I'm just going to turn it over to, you have your president of the water board, George Smith. You have their engineer, Eric Snyder, our public works director, Mark Knezek. And Larry, are you here on behalf of the citizens or part of the water board? And part of the water board, you got.
Hang with George here.
Okay, you're okay.
I'm gonna give him moral support
Larry Conrad from the water board.
in case he falters.
You, in your packet, you would have received it's a 2 pages PDF. The Highland Municipal Water Utility and the Highland Municipal Water Utility Capital Replacement Plan. Okay. So George, I turn it over to you.
Well, gentlemen and ma'am, the water board has been engaged in a lengthy process to determine just exactly what the cost of service is and what the cost of service will be. And we engaged the consulting firm of London Whitty to determine what all our costs are and what those costs might be. And then subsequent to that, the council met and had a budget session and then told us what the projected pay raises will be, what the projected pension benefit increases will be, what the healthcare cost increases will be. And we plugged that all into the projections developed by London Whitty. And then we asked Mark to go over the capital improvement projects for the next 5 years or so. And then once we had a list, we engaged our consultant from Nees Engineering to put some cost to all this. And we put this all together. And then at our meeting, there were indications from the town council or through by Mr. Black that a water rate increase was not appropriate, that the amounts that we had determined were not appropriate. So based on that, I thought it would probably be better for the water board to engage the council to find out just exactly what their thoughts are and whether or not they want to become like Dixmoor or Harvey or even Maryville a couple of weeks ago where they flooded the subdivision, or they wanted to continue with the plan that I pretty well set forth back in 2012 when I came on the water board. So you have a schedule F-1 that is the capital and replacement plan, which lists items of capital and replacements, which we projected at 1.995569 million. And then you also have the 3-column schedule, which delineates the cost of service results with a single increase for 5 years. It's up on the screen. There you go. The second column is the cost of service results with a stepped increase. And the third is the reduced funding. So the dilemma that the board is in is that we could pass a recommendation, send it to the council. Then the council has to have a public hearing, and then the council has to determine whether or not to approve, disapprove, or amend any report we might send. So the process does involve some duplicity. And so rather than going through the same motions 3 or 4 times, I thought it would be appropriate to come before the board and get the input from the town council. So that's pretty much where we're at. And I think in general, the board has been inclined to go with the cost of service results single increase which is basically the 58.6% increase in your water. And then, oh my God, 58.6. Okay, well then, well, what do you want me to cut? What do you want me to remove from the projection that the town feels that we don't need? If we don't need a new truck, we'll take it out. If we don't need to replace a water main, we'll take it out. Obviously, I can't take out the pay increases, the pension increases, and the healthcare costs that's already been approved by the council. Obviously, I can't do that, but if you look at your sheet, going back to the estimated rate schedule, the very first sheet you had up on the screen there, you'll note that our current rate is 216, and that would raise our rate to 321. So that would in effect be $1.05 per every 1,000 gallons. They tell me, I don't know this, I have to rely on reports from my consultants, that the average town household uses about 3,000 gallons. So that would result in a $3 increase in the water bill. Now, some might consider that to be outrageous, but remember that even if we implement the full 58.6%, we're still cheaper than Cherville, we're still cheaper than Munster, we're still cheaper than Dyer, we're still cheaper than St. John. So, and Griffith also. So with that, are there any questions that you might have?
Council, I've just made two comments. One of them, as President Smith alluded to, the council makes the final decision on the water rate, utility rate increase. As he said, you can either vote it up, you can vote it down, or you can change it. Okay. Other point is that I have built in a rate of return from the water utility of about $490,000. It's built into that thing to support the budget.
Right, and this past year, because of the deficit, or excuse me, near deficit, we're running real near break even. The water board was unable to fund the ROI that we normally fund. So I'm sure that with the tax rate caps coming into play, that the council surely does not want to forego the ROI capital movement from the water board to the general fund.
So, Mr. Smith, if I have a
Yes, sir.
question for you. So, the last time I looked at my water bill, there's different sections, right?
There sure are.
And so you've got the water, you've got the sanitary section,
Trash.
you've got the trash,
Yep.
and there's various fees and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
In my estimation, the actual water portion of the water bill is actually less than all those other fees.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's
It's minuscule.
substantially less, right?
Oh,
it-
insignificant.
So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, all right, if you're saying the average is $1 per 1,000 gallons, right? I mean, we can do that quick math. That's what, like less than,
$3.15
right, per bill.
per bill.
So roughly over the year, that's like 36, under $40.
The
If-
average, if you took the average at $3.15 times 12, you'd come up with $37.60 or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Increase in your bill, plus the sales tax increase also, but yeah.
Right. So ultimately, I mean, if you look at the actual water bill itself, you're seeing it go up maybe by $3 a month. And if you're a heavy user, it's $5.
One caveat to that.
Yep.
is That is the consumption portion.
The
There's
consumption
also
portion.
A fixed fee that's basically covering the main operations of the system.
Okay.
And that comes out to between the total base fee and the hydrant maintenance fee, the increase would be $8.29.
Monthly?
Yes, per
Yeah.
month.
Okay.
So you're looking at 829 plus 3, so.
$100.
Oh, okay. So it's
In
$100.
choosing the first option, though, those costs remain steady throughout the 5 years.
Right.
If you choose the other options, well, the third option, the water board loses money. And then the middle option where you're gonna increase it, those costs actually end up higher after 5 years. The fixed costs, the cost of transport into homes and maintain the system actually goes from 1824, which we hold steady on the first option, to 2038 a month just to have water coming to your house.
Right.
All right, and then the fire department or the fire hydrant fee goes from $419 on a steady clip to $468 a month. So you choose your poison. You want it all today? Or you want to hear about it every year for the next 5 years?
Well, and also our council has indicated, as you, I'm sure you know, but I didn't know this until a couple of years ago, that we cannot actually have a percentage increase. So we have to have published rates. So the second and third options with the stepped increases would actually result in published rates that would appear in the ordinance. So the ordinance would show a rate for 2003, a different rate for 2004, 2007, et cetera.
Okay.
So those are,
All right.
I hope that answered the question. that you-
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realize about the other fixed fees. I mean, in my estimation, $3 a month is not really that crazy, but if we're looking at, I appreciate you telling me the full information. I think my concern is that, just like Mr. Smith was saying, if you've seen the news, I mean, you see the disasters that can happen when infrastructure goes bad. And Dixmoor is a huge example of this that just happened within the last 2 months. I mean, these folks were basically living on jugs of water from Walmart, because they didn't have the access to it that they should have had. Because they've been using bubble gum and baling wire to fix it for years without the budget.
They want
So-
$19.5 million from the state to repair their infrastructure. So if the state gives it to them, well, I hope the state would give us that kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's wild. I don't want to be in that position is my point.
I agree.
Mr. Smith,
Roger?
Water Board, great, love 5-year plans, capital plans that tells us what we need instead of trying to do every year this patch thing. Compliment the Water Board and your people for putting that together. The question I have is the rates that we're gonna receive from Hammond over the next several years, is that included in these rates?
Yes.
here? Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's-
another question I had, how much is a meter? To replace a meter, 1 meter, how much is?
1 meter, well, you have a sheet there with meter replacements.
Well, it's a big number, that's why I'm asking. So how many?
You're not gonna believe this, but the price went up.
Oh,
Yeah.
It didn't go down?
They can't even get them right now.
It's about $300 a meter.
$300 a meter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many meters do we have in town?
9,000.
Oh, 9,500, whatever
59.
water bills we send out.
Call it 9,500.
And we replace that many every year?
No,
No, we replace them as they.
Okay, well, so, but we're budgeting 280, 288, 297, 305, 315 the 5 years. So I'm just wondering, are we gonna really need all that based on previous history? How many go bad a year?
A lot of the meters that we have in the system were all installed over a short period of time, maybe 3 or 4 years. And then after that, there was fewer meter replacements. So you're coming to the time where the batteries are starting to wear out on these meters. And that's basically the batteries. You can't just go in there and change out the battery. It's all integral, fully sealed. So now to the point where you're having to replace a lot of them at the same time.
And I might add, Council, advantageous right now for us to change out the meters as many as we can, because we have an edict, and Mr. Keith can talk about it, about the lead service line. And so when you change out the meter, you can make a note whether it's lead or not. So,
That's what we do.
Mr. Knizik, why don't you,
Well, every meter we change out, we make a notation what the service line type is coming into the house. From the B box to the main, we wouldn't know until we dug that up or they come up with another way to identify it. But by 2024, we have to put an inventory together of the whole town for the lead services. And then after that, we're gonna start a program to start changing them out.
okay, well,
And so, I mean, the meters right now, they're about 300 a meter. So when last couple of years, when they were doing the rate study, they found out that all of a sudden there's an inflow of revenue
well, yeah.
and they couldn't figure out where it came from.
Hello.
That was when the other gentleman was
Meters
sitting
are
over
working
there.
now.
Well, it turned out that it was meters. I mean, they were put in 05, 07, and about that time, and 10-year batteries. So we're
So,
doing pretty good, but
okay.
there's no just changing a top out. You got to change the
I
whole
understand,
meter
that,
out.
but let me ask you, I think I asked you this a year or so ago, how many
meters do we currently need to change? They're not working. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, we're doing about 100 a month.
100 a month. Wow.
And
Okay.
it slowed down a little bit now that we got,
Yeah,
that
once you
we've
get the
caught
new
up.
ones and move over, yeah. Okay.
so,
Okay, because I was just looking at that number and the meter just kind of hit me.
so every reading we have a reread list of meters that do not register. And we have to go around and see if we can
Right.
pick them up with a handheld. And the majority of those are meters that aren't registering anymore. Either they stop, it's the same reading as the month before, or it don't pick up a signal electronically at all. So we're working hard to get all those changed because it's a lot of money
So
that we're losing.
do we have a system to go back and say, no, sir, we didn't get any water money from you for the last couple of months and we have an idea? Do we give them an average bill because we don't know what they used?
If there's no electronic signal, there's an estimated bill from the previous
Right.
usages. But the way it is now, if that reading is, let's say it's 256 and the next month it's 256 because it stopped and it shows zero usage, we are not charging that, which I think we should. Go back and
So-
estimate those also.
So, yeah, I would think we should at least estimate.
And some people might not use 1,000 a month, 1,000 gallons. We
Well,
have very few, but
Okay, well.
that could happen.
Well, let's say this, okay, so if you're worried about overcharging somebody at the average of 3,000 and they only use 2,000. Why don't you just have a small fee? At least we have something coming in, rather
Well-
than having 2 or 3 months of no water.
I'm not
at
too sure
all.
if you can just establish a fee.
Well-
You would have to go back from a previous usage. I mean, to
Well,
be fair.
I mean, it just seems like, okay,
We
if,
do, and there's a complaint, then our town resident customer comes in and explains to us why that reading is erroneous. And we did have, not too long ago, we had a couple come in and explain to us that for whatever reason, and they gave a perfectly rational, reasonable explanation, and we
you make adjustments, right?
adjusted their
Yeah.
bill.
So then why can't we just charge them an average of 2,000 and if, because we don't know, I mean, if we have 100 meters now that need to be replaced, you're telling me that they're not accurately measuring water, whether it's no signal at all or not working. That means there's 100 houses or whatever that are not paying a water bill.
That's not right.
So that concerns me.
Some of them, it depends on if it's showing a reading or not. Majority are the batteries. So those are estimated. So we are getting money back for those, just an estimated bill. Most of the people, we're having pretty good luck getting these meters changed out as soon as possible. And the numbers are going down. It was at 100. I don't even remember what we just read, the reread list. I think they sent like 50 some letters out. But those 50 letters and the ones that are scheduled or the people that haven't called back.
So let me ask you another question. The money that you have budgeted this year for meter replacement, where are we with that budget? I mean, it's October, so we got a couple of months left. Are we gonna go over it? Are we gonna use it all? Do we need to step up changing?
I would say we're gonna use it all. I don't think we're gonna go over.
We just transferred money today.
Yeah. So we'll use it all. And the meters go up every 3 months, every 6 months, the price increases. So if we can get them cheaper and stockpile them for what we need in the future, we'd be doing better off doing that also.
I remember going to Public Works and seeing, okay, here's all these meter sizes and this one, showing me your inventory and all that, so. Okay.
And
just
that's just the meter portion of this. I mean, the water main portion, we've had 3 breaks on our main feed line in the last 9 months. That wasn't something that was on our capital plan.
Yeah.
Because we had no idea it was gonna break, but now I think it's a priority on our capital plan, and if we need to fix that, we have to fix it. We need I mean, we have 2 lines feeding our station, but, so you can shut one down for a while, but, I really don't want to do that.
I understand.
I'd like to,
3 weeks ago, you had the water main break on, right off of Old 30, and it flooded the Young America subdivision. Now, that kind of stuff, that happens, but, there's been, Maryville is, getting into the no maintenance, problem, and Harvey is getting into that now too. They supply the water to, Dixmoor and Phoenix. Myself, being charged with, the water responsibility, I don't want that to happen in Highland. I don't want somebody to say, well, you were on the water board, you should have done something about that. Or like somebody will say, oh, did you look at the Hammond water analysis? I go, yeah. They go, oh, did you see there's lead in the water? Well, yeah, there's lead in the water. Oh, what are you gonna do about it? Well, the EPA says that we can have a maximum of 5 parts per billion, and we're at 0.05. Okay, 0.05. So I said, well, we can take the lead out of your water if you want. Oh, well, when are you gonna do it? It'll have to increase your bill by about 250. Oh, well, 250 a month just for a little bit of lead. Well, you're complaining about the lead. It's the same thing. Mr. Sheeman, same thing, unfortunately.
That's right. Thank, the other question I have here, you see where it says vehicle replacements, 3 pickup trucks with plows, and then there's only like 9,850 budgeted.
That's
You can
a,
get 3 trucks with plows?
that's a previous purchase and that
Oh,
they're
that's
just
a
finishing
previous-
out the payments.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I got.
Anybody
Mr.
else?
Black, I know you had some input at the water board. What are your feelings, sir?
Well, I would have liked really to see us phase it in over the full 5-year term to bring you the whole 5-year capital plan, enough to fund that. But, looking at the differences, and it looks like we'd be playing catch up,
Oh, yeah.
the whole time.
Yes, we will.
So we could just do it once, and we got to figure the, it's been brought up at other meetings by Mr. Condor and others. At the rate of inflation, we're even losing more.
That's right.
Unless we take.
Yeah, I'd just kind of be in favor of the stepped up, the middle one, So we fully fund everything.
But if we do it that way, you look at this, then we'd still be playing catch up.
Well,
Yes, they'll be
no, that's
short.
That's the rate that goes up the highest, right?
Well, yeah,
At
because
the
you have
end.
an inflationary factor in there. Because you're short, in order to make up, you have to break into the 5 years, plus you have to come up with the 9% inflation. And then you're short the 3rd year, plus 9% inflation, plus the 9%, and that's why you go up to 77.2% increase in that scenario.
In the 5th year,
That's
you're
the
at
fifth year, you see you're at
77% increase.
77.2% of your current. So that's even more onerous than the 58.6% that we're
Well,
proposing, you see?
well,
And you'd either have to operate the system at a deficit for the first 2 years. So if you did all your projects that you plan to do, you would be operating a deficit and then try to make it up with the higher rates in the years 4 and
We probably
5.
have to
well,
issue
Or
a
you-
bond.
hopefully, we're not gonna have 9% inflation for the next 4
Well,
years.
well, it's not really inflation. It's just looking at what's your total 5-year revenue. And instead of having it evenly divided over 5 years, that you're saying, well, we want to, short it to only 40% increase instead of 58. So that part that you shorted, you have to tack on in your 4th and 5th year.
Yeah, it's like an amortization schedule for a mortgage, basically.
Very
Except-
similar.
Except
Roger, just
reversed,
two more.
actually. Because it,
Instead of even payment, it's uneven.
right,
put it back.
exactly.
Hey, anybody else? Just, real quick too, I stopped in at Public Works last week and Kim was on her big screen there and she went over this whole thing with me for about a half hour. So that really helped a lot too.
Wait a minute. So it looks like Roger and you got a private tour of the Public Works.
I just stopped in there
I'm
to see
telling you
him.
what, man. I haven't gotten anything close to that. Well, I did get to ride in a plow truck though. That
Oh,
was pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That was good.
You haven't got your police car ride yet?
I'm waiting.
We got to
You
get
know?
him his badge yet.
I know. I need my badge. Yeah.
Remember that, Pat? First year I was on the council, we went for a ride. I think I went with Mike O'Donnell.
I think, well, Pat said I could ride in the back anytime, but
Anytime
you might have to
ride
book
in
me
the
though.
They'll even let you wear the bracelets.
Exactly.
Not to change the subject, but just to let you know that, we authorized the police department to go ahead and place an order for the 2023 Explorers, or police vehicles. Discussion last week about, or 2 weeks, whatever, hybrid, type of thing. And Assistant Chief Vassar will tell you that the books are closed. You will not, even when we place the orders now, you will not get anything in 2023.
Well, that's the problem we have with valves and fittings.
Yeah.
Is
I
they're
know.
not available.
Nope.
So we have to order them in 2023, so we will have them available by 2025. So that's the issue with the funding of the water.
We're also
Plain and
have,
simple. This is,
we also have a water main break at Sharp, right next to the Public Works. It's broken, 3 or 4 times in the last month. Getting a 20-inch replacement main is gonna be over a year, just to get the pipe works for it. So,
Stuff made in China, or is it just? I mean, it's incredible to hear. I mean, there's not a person
Most of
that needs
the,
to order something.
most of the
no matter
pipes made
what
in
industry
Alabama.
Or what business it is, says they can't get it.
And get it.
And
Why is that, George? You're very
well, that's
intelligent.
because
Explain
the
it to
steel
me.
mills closed down. So they used to make scalp here in the harbor and in Gary, and they closed all the scalp mills. So they got to get imported steel from either Canada or China. And they do the pipe down there, and what they do is they get the scalp and they form it, and then it's form welded. And that's how they make pipe. They don't do it around here anymore. All those jobs are gone. We've lost those jobs. And so you have a tremendous shortage, and you got to get it from somewhere, and they can't ship it because the ports are clogged. It's a real dilemma. Yeah.
Again, council, the water board came to you with their proposals, and looking for some direction. Not that you can vote tonight, but just give them consensus, because they have to pass their ordinance first, and then pass it on to the council. So again,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to raise the rates, but I think that if we don't, we as a community are gonna pay for it later, and we're gonna pay substantially more later. So I see the option, the best option is being the first one laid out here, which is the
58.6.
That would be my recommendation to the council, and I realize that the council can give us their input, and then we can pass whatever rule change we want, ship it back to the council for the council's ultimate thumbs up, thumbs down, or we want to change it, but that's why I brought this to your attention, because I really feel that we should probably go with the cost of service results with the single increase for the full 5-year funding. That's my recommendation to the council tonight.
And like George said too, we're still lower than everybody else. even with the-
Still lower than everybody else,
except for
except for
Hammond.
Hammond. And we buy our water from Hammond.
Right.
And I don't know what Mr. McDermott's gonna do.
I will agree to all the work you guys did and the water board, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
I'm
Me too.
inclined for.
Okay. I will take that as a move on and continue with what we're doing. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your input.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Tomorrow and a good weekend.
Take care, you too.
We're all behaving now.
Okay, Mr. Hart, we move on to the next one. Do you want to go over the reminder first?
the reminder, it gets part of the agenda's reminder, don't forget tomorrow night at 7 o'clock here in this room, you have an executive session with the sanitary board. Again, the meeting will be closed to the public. A memorandum of the meeting will be certified and maintained with the records of the town, and it's discussed pending or threatened litigation. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock here.
Next item, medical insurance.
Okay, my agenda here now. We've talked about this before, and we've asked that our attorney, along with John Swisher's attorney, see what they can do to try to improve the benefits per se. And I know that John sent a message, I don't know if he's gonna be on the call or not, but the legislature, there's nothing gonna happen. And he'll tell you that. If he was here, he would tell you that. And so John Swisher needs to know by the end of the year, whether we're going to continue it for another year, or he should start looking for his own health insurance. Right now, he's budgeted into ours right now, but again, it's, you know, right in the enrollment period right now.
Don't have any problem extending it.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm wondering,
Now, we did hear that when I think Mr. Sheeman said he talked with or someone talked with the legislator, that they'll try to change it. But it's
Yeah.
not going to be till next session. Won't be this
right,
year.
and that was what I was trying to angle at, you know, I mean, if we could get whomever is our representative
Yeah,
or our senators.
who's our person for that? Is
You're-
it Frank or?
It's
Your
Mike,
friend.
it's Mike and
Mike
Dry,
Andrade, your friend, Mike Andrade.
you know, so it's gonna be Mike or potentially the other Mike or
Yeah.
potentially Dan.
Yeah.
So,
We'll know in 36 days.
Yeah,
Whoever.
um,
Maybe we'll have
Yeah,
a better opportunity to address it then.
this is just a logistical question, right? So I have no problem extending it. Obviously, I'm a little shocked that the state of Indiana doesn't have some type of safety net for injured officers
Really?
that are injured in the line of duty. Like it bothers me that that doesn't exist apparently. So we have to do it. So whatever, I'll do it. But I'm curious, how are we able to do it if he's not employed here? You know, I mean, how can we make that exception?
We had a rule by the opinion from the Attorney General that we can do it. It's
Okay.
on file. Yes, sir.
Okay, I had no idea. It seems kind of, because I mean, like, none of us up here qualify for health insurance, right? And I'm all for helping the injured officer that was injured on the line of duty. There's not the question in my mind. I just wanted to make sure it was all within the lines.
And I would recommend too, and unfortunately, John's not here. He can give you more. He's done some research and he can tell you exactly why it's not happening as of right now. And I don't have that with me. So I got this gonna be here tonight. Okay. So now I'll go ahead and we'll pass along. Pat, if you want to pass along, and we'll do our thing over here too. Okay, for John. Thank you. Okay. The next one, the next two. Again, it's up to the council. And again, looking at the employee handbook, you have to be here 20 years before you get 25 days base vacation. So at year number 10, you have 20 days, and there's a 10-year period before you get 25. And we're saying that how, you know, we've heard where employees want, you know, time off sooner. All we're saying was we're not giving any more vacation. We're just saying to move it in from the 20-year to 15-year mark. That's all it is.
How many people would that affect?
All our employees. Well, I don't know how many that would affect now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how many people have been on for
Oh, yeah.
15 plus years? I was just curious, how many people would benefit from the bump from 15 to
I'd
20?
have to go back and look.
Okay.
Yeah. And it'll be, I'm sure there'll be some grumble word. There'll be some, you know, like, Mr. Keith said, yeah, he's been here. So there's people who put in their 20 years ago, say, wait a minute, I would put in my 20 years. Again, we got to change with the times.
No, hey, I'm with you. I think we should do everything we can to, you know, make sure that we've got happy, functional employees.
It's pretty hard to work a full year without taking a day off. too.
For sure.
It is. I mean, especially now with COVID going around, it's gonna be here every year. So, I mean, I don't know how long we're gonna keep funding the COVID off time, but once that ends, people get COVID, you're gonna keep getting it every year, you know, so they say.
Yeah. Or if you have a sick kid or something, I mean, there's always
Exactly. It's-
something.
It's tough to do a full year before you get benefits.
And that would be effective January 1, 2020. We're not gonna do it midterm and mid-year 2023.
Sure.
I will make those changes and get to the council to review. I'll try to make it for the next meeting. It may not be till the following meeting, but for you to look at. Okay. The next one is somewhat that Mr. Knizek, it's a good lead into it. And I wasn't sure whether this should be part of vacation or this should be part of bridging of service. That's why it's got, not sure which section it should be. Anyway, as Mr. Knizek just said, it's difficult to be a year without having any type of time off. You're going to get sick, etc. How this came about was the fact of that the police department modified, if you go into your packet, you'll see it in yellow. they put in their SOP, the lateral vacation benefit. 1 year of experience, 4 days, 3 years of experience, 8 days, and 5 years of experience, 10 days of vacation. They put that in their SOP, okay? State Board of Accounts came back and said, hey, that's fine, but you can't do it. You can do it, either the town council's authority, they would have to adopt it and put it into our employee handbook.
It's a benefit for the whole town, so we
Correct.
have to do it the
Right.
whole way, right? You
And then they
understand that.
Yeah, so the point was, if you're gonna do it for the police,
You gotta do it
do it for the
everybody.
whole town.
I just looking at all this, I looking, if you work 5 years. All right, you're gonna get what, 15 days of vacation, that's 3 weeks, right? You get another 10 days is 2 more weeks, so that's 5 weeks, right? Then,
Another 10 years.
no, 5 years experience, you get 10 days of
Right.
First year.
paid time off.
Yeah, PTO.
Okay, so
first
that's,
year.
that's already what, 4 weeks, 5, what, 5,
2 weeks
4
off.
weeks?
2 weeks.
And then you have 7 holidays, I believe, paid,
12.
12 paid
I'll
holidays?
say 10, 12, yeah.
So basically you're almost off a whole month
They do
when
in
you add
Europe.
it all up.
That's what they do in Europe.
This
That's
is not
August.
Europe.
Well, it looks lovely anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean,
The question goes back to, we've talked before about recruitment. If you're going to recruit, be it Mr. Knizik or Alex, and again, there's gonna be people who said, we've been here a whole year, we didn't get vacations, they're gonna not be happy with this. If you're gonna recruit employees, for example, if a person has 5 or greater years of experience, I'm gonna come in with no vacation, 0. Or no
well,
time off. That doesn't happen. They're looking for time with the family. So we're saying 2 weeks for 5 or greater, 8 days for 3 years or greater, and just 4 days for 1 year or more.
I'm certainly not questioning the vacation, you know what I mean? But when you add all this up, so when you say pay time off, that does include like sick days. If you're sick, is that a paid time off, what you're talking about in here?
Sick day would be separate.
So it's even separate after this?
Right.
So then they are off a whole month.
So, all right, let me just ask this. The times that are, or the days that are suggested here, are these granted January 1 or?
No, so you gotta be here either 38 or 60 days.
Okay, so there's no like phase in, because I know, for example, when I worked at the governor's office for Mitch Daniels back in the old days, you would start and then every so often, like I think 1 month, I would get like 1 day, 1.25 days or something like
Based
that.
on hours worked,
And
right.
then, so basically you couldn't just come in and then say, oh, I'm taking 3 weeks off and then quit. You know what I mean? That was the theory.
That's exactly what I have at Staples. You have my little part-time job, so
Yeah.
many hours I work, I look at my thing when I can say, okay, you got 2 days or 8 hours off, you can take it. Here's my question though. You're talking about when the benefits got, we still haven't changed when somebody will get a raise. So in other words, somebody could be hired next month and they're gonna be entitled to the raise in 30 days.
That's.
We haven't changed that yet. So if you're talking about this 60, 90 days, then why shouldn't we do that with raises? Because, you get hired in December and there could be some hirings here.
Well, how about your
And
redevelopment
and they're gonna
director?
they're gonna get a raise in 4 weeks.
Your
No, I
redevelopment
hear
director,
you.
and also if you'd hire an assistant,
Right.
same thing's gonna happen.
So,
Arguably, raises should be on an individual basis.
well, we haven't got to that kind of structure yet. I mean,
Right.
We don't have a town administrator or something, but so what I'm saying is if you want to do this 60, 90, then at what point does a cutoff hiring? So if we hire somebody, say by September 1st, they're hired before that, okay, they'll get a raise and whatever benefits. But if they're hired after September 1st, they may have to wait a year. I don't know. But if we're waiting on this, why shouldn't they wait for a raise? I mean, why should somebody get hired in December and a few weeks later, you don't even know if they're doing a job performance and they get a raise? Because that's what our ordinance says now. And that's what I think we need to change. And I've discussed this before, but it didn't seem like the ring any bells.
So I'm gonna go back to your point, Mr. Shockey. And Mark can chime in because he has much experience from Munster. Munster and Highland has the exact same software. However, the difference is ours is by day, Munster's is per hour. So in other words, So when Mark worked at Munster, just as you just described in Governor Daniel's office, that you're there, let's say, depending upon how many years you have, years of experience, so you may accumulate 0.083 time off
Right.
the first week or two. They go by weeks. And then by a certain period of time, it's going to equivalent to the same we have right here, but
Right.
theirs is broken down by the hours. And so what we said,
The more time you have, the faster. the
Faster,
rate
right,
increase.
that's exactly like how it is. at
That's,
Staples.
Munster was pretty much the same way as what you had.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
'cause we
mean,
don't have
you
with our
work there a
system.
month, you got maybe a day and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But you couldn't use it for 6 months.
Right. And that makes sense.
And
'cause
we're
it-
saying the same thing here. You know, the fact is that you're going to be here, I'll use the word probation, or whatever the term you might want to use, and then you can do that. But it's,
So let me go back to what I was saying. So if you wanted to do an ordinance where you say, okay, if you're hired after September 1st, you're not going to get the raise that's coming January 1st that we agree on. But you could add, hired after that date, you'd have to wait 6 months. So at least we see this is a good employee. So you could say, I got hired in October, but in May of next year, if I'm still do good, I will get that raise. Rather than waiting a whole year and 3 months to go around. You see what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Like a probationary. period.
Yeah. So
Makes
you know,
sense.
you could say you can't get it right away in a month or two that you just started. But if you're here for 6 months and whatever term that is, after September 1st, then you can get a raise. The raise will become effective.
I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but that's not what's before us right now.
I understand. I was just trying to follow up on what I talked about.
I don't disagree.
I think the purpose is to try to keep in public works, the classes, the driver classes at an equal rate. If you hire someone in July and they don't get the raise at the first of the year, they're gonna be a step behind the guy that gets the, raise at the first of the year. So this keeps it, the pattern is, the pay is the same. The longevity is different, obviously. You make more if you've been there longer, but the pay stays the same as across the board. I think that's pretty much what it does.
so again, again, we're trying to keep up with the times, keep up with the private sector saying, hey, if you hire in, we're going to give you that first year. Granted, you've got, as Mr. Sheeman said, you've got your vacation days. I don't know how many PB days work, Mark, or sick days, how to work with that.
You get 6.
6 of us.
You get 6 PB days, but you do not get those until you've been here 1 year.
Okay, it's 1 year then.
And
Okay,
that's the way our current vacation time works as well.
right.
And you do not get any vacation time until you've been here 1 year, and it's prorated based off the month you are hired.
And that's the bridging of service you see at the yellow bottom. And we're saying for that first year, after you've been here 30 days or 60 days, and you'll qualify for in terms of vacation.
And if you get sick, you need to use your PB days. We don't have sick pay.
Right.
You have to use your personal business days for sick
You
time.
just told me you have 6 days.
We don't,
You give that for 1 year, you get them.
1
no,
year.
we don't have sick days.
What are you saying,
Yeah, you
PB?
get 6 personal business days,
Right.
I'm kind of changing.
That's-
that's-
Yeah, I'm
that's-
using it as counter.
That's six
interchange. Yeah.
but you do not get those until you've been here 1 year. And then your vacation time is prorated on the month that you were hired, but you do not get that for the 1 year. So for the police department, since we do not get paid extra for working the holidays, our officers, the time they have to use when they first start out are basically their holiday days, nothing further. So we're just looking at some type of increase to attract officers because it's a very competitive market right now, trying to get police officers. So anything we can do to help attract somebody that's experienced, that would be great.
We should just make it townwide for employees.
I
And
think
same at Public Works, where we've had a position up for a few months now and we had 4 interviews and they all turned it down because of that pay.
Okay.
Public Works we're taking care of at your next meeting. That's when you've already authorized. We had our budget hearings. You authorized to raise the
From 13 to 15? or-
whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
remember. So that order is already drafted.
Right.
It'll be your ordinance number I.
Okay.
That part's done. This is just strictly about for I didn't know if it's vacation time or bridging the service. Because it's bridging the service is 1 year. We're saying we're going to do it after, 60 days, 90 days, they get the vacation time there.
So employees going from 13 to 15. And so they're going from $13 to $15 an hour, plus they're getting a 4% whatever raise, right? First of the year too.
I would think they would.
Yeah, well, that's because we don't have an ordinance in place to, at the time.
But I mean, it makes sense. Now, if you hire in today at Public Works or the police department, you have to go an entire year without anything.
That's every town employee.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why.
See, that's what I was saying, Toya. In Lake County, I think every 3 months, we got a day off, I think, a paid day off. So, because I remember when I had kidneys, just real quick, I had kidney surgery. And I had on a Thursday, and it was about 4 months after I started work, or about 6 months after I started working there. And I turned in my time card saying, 2 days, without pay, just 8 paid days that 2-week period. And I got a full paycheck. So I didn't know what was going on. So I went across the street to Human Resources, and they said, oh, no, every 3 months you've accumulated a day off. So,
And again, that's what Mr. Shockey was saying, along with, some programs are set up that way to accumulate that, ours is not.
it seems, isn't
Yeah,
that?
I would be in
easy?
favor of a prorated thing. I mean,
So, but we're saying we're gonna start after 3 months or after 60 days, it will kick in then. Yeah, and again, it's Bernie, is based upon your years of experience,
Mhm.
1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Okay, that's how much you would get your first year there. But again, you need some time off.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I'll ask Mr. Reed, I don't know if it's supposed to be again, be vacation, because this is vacation. I'm calling it PTO. I don't want to confuse it with vacations, personal time off. You do whatever you have to with it. Okay, I'll draft something up then.
okay.
And again, it's, we're saying, the last part, PTO eligible, 1 to 2 years, 4 days, 3 to 4 years, 8 days, and the 5 and above, 10 days. After the first year of employment, PTO reverts to the town current vacation benefit program for town's employee. Okay.
Oh, 5 years.
Yeah.
It's 3 weeks, 5 weeks. 6 weeks.
We'll go back to your question, Mr. Sheeman. So if you're a 5-year employee, you're gonna get 10 days off,
Right.
okay? Plus you're gonna get 11 vacation days.
3 weeks vacation, right?
Well, your holidays, it all depends on the month you get hired.
That's true.
Because you do not get all 11
Right.
holidays unless you started on January 1st, because it's only for the holidays that occurred during your actual employment with the town.
Yeah, but
So the
we're
first,
talking about it after 5 years, so they would be here a full year, so.
Well, excuse me, that's just for the first year to get them by,
right, right.
because then after that, they revert to our
A bridge of service,
our
yeah,
normal. So then basically, once they've been here for 12 months, depending on the month they hired in, assuming it was a full year, then they would start out with 10 vacation days. This is no longer on the table. They're 10 vacation days. And then after 5 years, it goes to 15
Right.
vacation days. After 10 years, it goes to 20. And then Mr. Herrick alluded to changing instead of 20 years, getting 25, it started 15 now.
the first year, again, they're getting like 10 days. Whatever holidays they
But
qualify,
as of right now, you can't use them.
can't use them, correct? You have to bridge.
It's like you don't have any
Yeah.
until you're here a year. It's tough to.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough to attract candidates.
Right, for sure. It's like, come on, you're gonna work every day and we're gonna give you no days off. Who wants to work here?
No days off, yeah, 7 weeks off.
It's like, sounds like, I don't know, sounds pretty rough.
I like how Europe had it though.
Yeah, right? I mean, I would love to have
August
August
was a
off.
great
Are you
month.
kidding
Oh,
me?
yeah.
It'd be lovely.
Go to Europe, they shut down everything for 2 weeks, everybody goes on vacation.
My buddy
Spain.
is a banker in London and he gets all these banking holidays. And so then he takes the opportunity to go to like Vienna and all these places because it'd be like going to Kansas for us. So anyway, good stuff.
And the flights are very cheap when you're over there.
They are, yeah.
Matter of fact, he just got back from what, Belgium, no, from,
I was in the Netherlands, I was in Belgium, I was in Scotland, Ireland, and England as well.
I've heard of this thing called Scotch that they have in Scotland. I don't
wouldn't
know.
anything about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I've heard lore of it.
The next item, counselors, is the wheel tax. And in your packet, you have ordinance number 1771, as well as a worksheet. And I direct your attention to the worksheet. And that is what currently I have put in the ordinance. Okay, it can be changed. But that is pretty much standard what everybody charges. If you go back and check, first of all, if Mr. Reed has reviewed the ordinance, he's fine with the ordinance. And as I mentioned at our last meeting, I didn't create this ordinance. It was what other communities used. I mean, if you want to check with Dyer or Maryville or Munster, whatever, Munster, they're all the same. It's the same word. And as I've talked with Mr. Knizek about today, there's one word that stands out in all of them. We can go to it. The fact is because revenues have decreased. It's all in there. I'll say the same thing. The reason being is that our revenues have decreased, MVH, et cetera. We cannot maintain our roads the way we want to. That's why it's in there. And everyone has this, Crown Point, exact same thing. Our revenues drop from the state. We can't maintain our roads. We need to go some other source. The state saying this is a way to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, those are the classes that are broken down. If you choose to go with this, it'd be take 1 year to implementation. You have to send a letter to the BMV. I'm still waiting to hear back from them how many registered vehicles we have. But again, this is, if you go back and check, like say with, Maryville or Crown Point or whatever, these are pretty much the standard figures that everyone gets. And it's in the resolution, or it actually specifies the ranges, like from, you can't be less than 5 or more than 40, can't be less than 750 or more than 25. So most communities went to the maximum to do that. The first year, most communities will say, yeah, people are a little upset with it. After the first year, no. Once they see how the roads come out, they're very happy with that. We have to create 2 funds of the money that come in, and it's actually, if you get a chance to read the ordinance, it's actually in there. The first section says we creation of a fund, a municipal wheel tax fund, and also the municipal motor vehicle license excise wheel surtax. So we're going to create 2 additional funds, and that money will be put in there from when you go to register for your license plates.
I'm fundamentally opposed against the wheel tax.
Yeah.
I have been for a long time. I mean, there's a number of inequities. I brought some of them up at the last meeting, and just looking at this proposal that's used, as an example, we look at passenger vehicles at $25, but an RV that is used maybe 6 months of the year is $40. We look at a motorcycle, again, $25. Like something that's used maybe half the year just because of the weather. We look at, we got, again, another example would be trailers under 3,000 pounds. Well, what if you've got an RV trailer? I mean, you're going to pay $40 to have a trailer that weighs maybe 2,000 or 1,000 pounds, depending on what type of tow behind you have. So, I mean, right there's a number of inequities. I think a better option, and I've heard it brought up before, would be a penny a gallon tax. If we could do that at a municipal level or at a county level,
Can you do it,
that would be much better.
Mr. Brown? I'm Black. Can you do it?
What's that?
Can you do it?
I'm not sure.
Mr. Blythe, maybe you could answer. Can we?
If
do
I
it?
say if you can, then I would suggest you go ahead and
I
try it.
would say do that.
No,
because
not you. You go out and try to find that. I'm serious because
Find that information.
because I did a lot of research on this. Okay.
Okay.
And again, I went with the maximum, and you can say there are inequities, but when you throw stuff out there, well, I like to do a penny tax. Okay, go ahead and research it.
I will. Like I said, I've heard it brought up here before, so I thought perhaps there's a way, but I'll see what information I can find on it, because that way we are capturing the revenue from folks that still register their cars in Illinois and things.
Let me just say that, generally I have not been in favor of the wheel tax. And I understand we have to pave the roads. I mean, we're paving roads every year. This year is a big amount. Maybe not next year we won't have. But there's a lot of people that are struggling out there. Inflation is killing, and groceries, gas is still sky high, just went back up over $4 again. And I just don't feel that this is a good time to add a tax to the people in our town. Let me just say this, if you're a business owner, say like, what's the remodeler guy in the corner down there?
Apex.
Apex, all right. He's probably got 10, 12 trucks at $40. That's gonna cost him a lot of money.
$120.
Oh, it's $40 a truck.
How many trucks do you have?
I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them always parked behind there. I don't know how many. he's got.
$200.
Huh?
Okay, $200.
Well, 10 times 4 or 40 is 400, right?
Okay, $400. Okay.
Well, okay, I understand that, but there's, with the economy, with interest rates, all that kind of business is gonna slow down. Home sales are down. People aren't gonna have money to remodel. People are gonna start not going out to eat as much. And I just don't think this is the right time to tell our people that we want to add a tax to it. So,
Yeah, Roger, we talked about this, God, I bet you 10 years ago.
Well-
And it was the same thing was brought up. It's not the right time. Give me a definition of the right time.
well, listen, I'm not really in favor at all.
There is no right.
I
time.
mean, you talk now, we just talked about a water rate increase. We're gonna have a sanitation increase. Refuse just went up. And then all of a sudden, oh, bang, we're gonna just hit you again on this.
So again, I hear what the council's saying. Okay, and I was the same situation you were. If you do not pass it, which is your prerogative, you will not get the matching funds for next
no.
year. You will not. You don't know what I'm going through right now to try to get $251,000 just to do River Drive, Community Crossing Grant, as well as the $60,000. I mean, I'm going to funds that it's not going to be there for next year. It's not going to happen.
No,
And
look,
no one wants to do it.
yeah, I hate taxes, right? I hate them, but I also hate having craters in my roads, right? And you would not believe the number of emails that I get from residents that are saying, hey, and I get photos too all the time. And I send them over to Mark Knezek saying, hey, this resident sent me a picture of their street. I see some cracks. You're the expert. Is this, where is this in the triage? And he has to say, well, yeah, that's bad, but it might be 2 years from now bad instead of 1 year from now bad. The problem though, is that I have a bunch of folks that are saying, hey, look, my road sucks. And it's like, well, if we don't have the money for it, then how are we gonna repay it?
Does
And one of the big dinosaurs out there, just to be aware of, is next year, or the year after, Mr. Knezek is gonna come to council saying, you know what, we have to do Kennedy Avenue. Kennedy Avenue has to get repaid.
Well,
It's coming.
And that's gonna be a big chunk.
well, let me just say this, that as a crack, make a road so bad just because there's a crack in it? I mean, if I go down the street here and I travel a lot through the towns, different streets, different people call them, and I mean, I don't see there's any real streets that are really like pothole city. Occasionally there's here and there.
Check out Martha.
Some.
Check out Martha.
Huh?
Yeah, 34.
I can't get down Martha today. They're doing something on there. Got Martha Street closed tonight. I don't know what they're doing. Is it NIPSCO or somebody? I don't know.
It's
You
in
go
the,
down Indy, Martha Street's closed, got all kind of trucks up there. I don't know if they're putting up a new pole or something. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we can't do any streets next year, but I'm not saying we're not gonna be able to do 1 million. Maybe we're not gonna do 500. I don't know, but
But we're gonna lose the match grant too.
well,
Yeah.
you're only gonna lose the match of what you match. So if we only put 350 in, that's what we're gonna get.
Maybe.
If we put 500, we'll get another 500. So we're not losing the match. We're only reducing the match that we get because our portion is gonna be less.
But we're reducing the amount of streets we're gonna use.
I understand that. But like I said, I don't know where I go in town where I could like say, man, this is really, like, I would call Mark and say, man, what's with this street? Is it on the list? Generally, I think our streets are maybe, a lot of them are very, very good. The ones we've done in the last few years. And I think most of them are acceptable, and I think we can do some next year, but at this time, I just don't want to bang our citizens with another tax. So we're gonna talk about 1, we're gonna talk about 2, we're gonna talk about 3, and this is another tax we want to give them. I'm just not in favor at the moment. I don't know, maybe if conditions get better, maybe next year, the year after, maybe we'll say, okay. But at this time, I'm really not in
And I
favor.
respect whatever the council decides to do, so be it. But just example I gave, I went to the gas station the other day and I bought gas and I was standing in line and someone bought 30, 40, 50 $100 worth of lottery tickets. They think nothing of it. And we're talking $25 a vehicle when you register, or $50 for 2 vehicles, or whatever it may be. So we get streets paved. I mean, it's whatever their council decides, that's their decision.
And the longer you let a street go, the more money it's gonna cost to resurface it.
Wait for
If it gets into the base, now you're
Yeah, I
not milling an inch and a half, you're milling.
I know, you have one street that you have to
3.5.
reappropriate because of that. I
Yeah,
understand.
Martha.
Yeah, that's Martha.
I understand.
Mark, what were we able to do? I mean, a few years back when we were doing things, we were able to cover all the streets in Highland.
We did a-
over 12 years or 10 years.
Remember, Bernie, we did a bond issue.
Yeah.
Which we don't want to have to do, but we did a bond issue.
I mean, there is another alternative, a bond. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you all the towns around us do them.
So Roger, but let's just talk about the math of a bond, right? And I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but when you bond out, that's using tomorrow's dollars today. So we've got to pay a premium for it. Why wouldn't we just pay the money that we could get through a $25 fee per car, and then we don't have to borrow? It's like, it doesn't make sense to basically mortgage away our future like that.
Because a family of 4 with 4 cars, which would be $100, their portion of a bond payment, if you distribute it among all the residents, is a few dollars, not
Yeah,
not $100.
but over the course of time, that equates to like a lot more money
Well,
because of the time value of
look,
money.
we have the lowest amount of debt than any town around us. Really, if you look, you go
And that's
to.
gonna change relatively quickly. Tomorrow night, come to the meeting, stay tuned.
Well, I understand that, but if you go to Gateway and look at all this information that I do, you'll find, again, we provide services to our citizens at the lowest rate among any of our towns around here, except Lowell and New Chicago, wherever that is. So, and bonding is you don't have to do a 20-year bond, or you don't have to do a $10 million thing. You do 2 million. I don't know, but I just don't want to, things are getting so bad in our country, you can't get parts, you can't get this. Prices going up. I'm single by myself, and a lot of times I go to grocery store. I'm the kind of guy that says, well, if I want it, I'll just buy it. Okay. It was on sale or not, I need it. But lately, I look at the price and I said, you know what? Maybe I'm going to pass on this time. So, and I think a lot of our families and residents here, I mean, what isn't going up? And I just, at this time, I don't want to add another burden to them. It's just my opinion.
I think a bond is like putting it on a credit card and worrying about it later. It's just
think
not,
about-
it's not a recipe for success.
Think about the residents from Griffith and,
Right.
the sidewalk program.
Right.
It's hitting them right now.
And frankly, that it's funny that you say that, because there's people online that'll say, well, look at Griffith, they have all these new sidewalks.
Free
And I'm like, well, let's talk about what free means, right?
Yeah.
And I go through, it's actually $24 million worth of bonds, plus additional tree work that they didn't factor in, which is a couple $100,000 is my understanding, maybe more. And so ultimately, it's kind of like the amortization schedule I talked about earlier. Yeah, you're paying a monthly payment, right? And you can handle it now, but over the long arc, you're paying a ton more money if you bond it away. So it's kind of like a fool's errand, I mean, you could do it, sure, but you're really not factoring in the true cost if you're just going to bond it away.
So yeah, any thoughts on?
I'm for it. Has to be done, because even where I'm at, we're getting sinkholes and we're having some serious issues.
It's what's happening again, is we've talked, is the state of Indiana is cutting back. And they're
Yeah.
forcing you, councils, all the towns,
Mhm.
find alternative means to fund these programs. No one likes to do it. I agree with that. But if they keep cutting back, MVH are cutting back all RNS. I mean, we gave the example of the project right now with River Drive and the community crossing grant. We were planning at this point in
Mhm.
time last year, we had $172,000 in gaming. That money was going to go to the roads. Well, right now, we have $36,000. We got an extra casino right in Gary.
Yeah.
The state's holding that money. They're getting interest on it. We don't know what we'll get this year.
Brother, we're not getting anything from them? Yeah.
From Gary, no, we don't. It goes into Gary and unincorporated. Yeah.
That's alternative means we have to look at. Now, these fees, maybe not what you like, maybe you want to reduce them. I went by the maximum, what was, and what other, if you go again, if you go online, you can see that everyone has the same.
Is there a projection in here on what this would generate?
I have to get that, Mark, haven't got it from
Okay.
this BMV yet.
Because I mean, that would be something I'd be amenable to. If this is too high, maybe we could come up with a different number. I mean,
It will not cover the matching grant. It will not do that. I can tell you
Okay.
that.
because that's the ideal place I'd like to be. Whatever our maximum is, if we could get the maximum up to where we get the matching dollars from the state, it's like a 401k. You'd be stupid to not take the matching money, right? It's free. Not free, but nothing's free, but it's an influx of money we wouldn't get otherwise.
Fix the water meter so we can take that money for streets.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
And again,
Mine's going downhill so fast.
Oh, I
you
know.
know, and you have to realize right now too, is that, we sent out our expenditure report today, and I brought you a copy down from the fire department. We're moving money around just to make, things meet. The fire department had a claim on it for $3,000 for wheels and tires or tubes, whatever. And we're moving stuff out, we're looking at what balance do we have and moving things around just to do that.
Again, just as a reminder of a thought, that we're probably at the peak of MV, or not, assessed evaluation. And I just read today, home prices are already down 2% in the last month. So when we go to start doing, net assessed valuation over the next couple of years, we're not going to have as much money as you think. And if you think this year's budget is tough, whether you see what's going to happen if we're here on the council in the next couple of years. So it all comes together. It's just a time, it's a squeeze for money, and I don't know, like I said.
Okay.
I'll find out the information for you, Mark. I just haven't gotten it from you too. I haven't got it from the BMV yet.
And I'll at least try and contact a couple people and see if I can find out if we municipal level can add against that.
The problem with that, Tom, and again, it's your call, is the fact of that, if you have a increase in the tax just for Highland, the businesses are gonna say, you know what, why would I buy gasoline in Highland? I'm gonna go right across the road to Sherville where they don't have that 1 cent or 2 cents, whatever the tax is. That's what I've heard before. That's the reason why I didn't want to have that specific sales tax to just a retail sales tax, but look and see.
I will.
Yeah, please.
But it could be the opposite too. People may live in Highland will want to buy their gas in Highland because that tax money will stay right here.
Good.
And there's a truck stop.
Yeah, but they may not be
How much
residents of
less?
Highland.
Okay. The next item I had on the list, we can take it off. Public Works Director Kizek said he actually sent a letter of support to, where you sent it to, but the public support of the
Public Works
Over- rail
Director
overpass.
shares a letter of support for that. To get their funding for the bridge and Kennedy.
Yep. I think Councilman Johnson asked me last year to figure out what the traffic numbers were or something, or the train numbers. I can't remember. I had to ask you about it so that he could work on something with regard to the rail bridge, because there's just a lot of havoc through there, I guess, in Cherville. So anyway, thanks for that, Mark.
Yeah, they're applying for some additional grants for this. Hope they get it. That'll help our traffic a lot. through
For sure.
Highland.
For sure.
And the letter that he actually sent out, Mr. Volkman, he said it's gonna be, there's 26 trains per day. It's not uncommon to have stoppages of every 20 minutes per letter.
We'll still have ours
Yeah,
though. Kennedy.
for now.
The next topic is, and I'm glad Marcus to hear, you have your thing, the reestablish of the Assistant Public Works Director position. Mark, I turn it over to you.
Yeah, we, Bernie and Mark know what happened to that position when we got rid of it at one time. And we never refilled the position, and I sent a letter of support. All these essential duties on here, Kim Webb is doing right now. And as I think she would be helpful as a she'd work out well as the Assistant Public Works Director. One factor too is when I get ready to retire, she's gonna have knowledge to, when you bring someone in, to set someone on their way.
Well, it might be her.
Well, and it very well.
That's what I was thinking.
And it very well could be. She's very good at, she helps out the water staff constantly with accounts and stuff that, you know, there might have been a mistake in the BSNA. She fixes those mistakes and stuff. And I'd just like to reestablish this position, and then that would pretty much eliminate her position.
That was my question with that.
Eliminate her position until time comes where I need to depart, which I'm not saying when, I don't know, but she could either fill my position or there'll be someone that she could guide to fill it. And maybe she wouldn't even want it. I'm not sure. But all the stuff on here she does right now. And if you look at position functions, she does them all. I mean, she does all our insurance claims. She schedules all the meter replacement. She tracks all the meter replacement. She takes care of the fuel system. Yeah, everything on here she does. She, you know, she'll help with, she don't sit through interviews, but she has for, we've only had a few. So pretty much what I'm doing is the department heads, I'm letting those guys conduct the interview. There's a second interview that I'm gonna sit in with them. But I'd really like to bring that position back and, you know, give her what she deserves.
I think you had said you would, that salary becomes what, 67,000 or something like that? If I remember, multiplying it by 31. So I think she makes about 47 now or something as administrative.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking about $20,000.
It'd be a salary instead of an hourly. She gets overtime now. But she never takes off either, never. She goes on vacation and her husband wants to take 2 weeks next year and she told him, oh, we're not allowed to.
Like 72, Roger, 73.
Huh?
So-
Like 73,000.
Well,
How
a
much,
week
70?
is the most. and she don't like
73?
doing that. Very
Oh,
different.
73,000. Oh,
What-
that's a lot.
You're only about 35 years old, right? So you're not going to retire
Yeah.
for another 30 more years, right? So we don't have to
35
really
to
worry about
43
this.
years of service.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like you to
31,
consider this.
31, I got a different number here. Hang on. 31 times 26, right? Times 26. I got 81,000.
Okay, nice. I just did. math, yeah.
Yeah.
Something constantly, and again, the salary would come out of water and sewer.
Is that budgeted for at
At
this
the
rate?
time, no, sir, it's not.
Okay,
But again, it would have to be for next year.
right.
That's what the salary would be, 80, that's what the salary would be?
Right. Proposed, correct.
81,000.
That's what the previous one was made.
Yeah.
And not half of this stuff was done.
Yeah, I can attest to.
So we're looking at like a 30, well, yeah, 30-some thousand dollar shortfall.
34,000. Right? Yeah. 47 and 34 makes 81.
There wouldn't be a shortfall only because it's coming from water and sewer. Okay,
Yeah, but it's just trading money. It's money we would
trade
sweep
money.
into the general fund. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's paid for by them, but it's just, you know, less that goes into the general fund, and
was operating, it's actually operating.
general fund can be used for streets.
Again, he actually give it consideration. Thoughts. Nothing's gonna happen later tomorrow, but you know, again, so. The next one came to us from Toya Counselor Smith regarding a human resource manager. That's why you want to take it over from there?
I do. Everything just about that we talked about kind of tie in. From my understanding, I know we don't have the funds for a human resource, but it was just something I thought about. I was kind of shocked that we don't have it. And I just wanted to bring it up to see what you guys thought about it.
Well, I will say that our payroll clerk is actually does our human resource work. She had gone to school, I remember last year or the year before, and got certified to do that. She got some kind of certification. So Dawn does all the HR paperwork and all that stuff and plus payroll. So
So if she does it, is she considered a human?
No, ma'am, she's not.
no, that's not her official title, but she does that work. She does that. She
Oh,
does that
okay.
work.
Yeah, I was talking more of an official title.
So
And I brought this up, two things, when I was with General Electric, I remember his name was Roger, he was my VP.
Mhm.
He would do the work for us free. We could do a certain level ourselves, but the level above, he would do that. He just enjoyed. Didn't have anybody with the expertise to do it. You just don't have to do it. The second thing, and again, I'm sorry he's not online right now, Mr. Reed. They tried to do this in Munster, and he'll tell you they tried to short circuit the system. What's wrong for? You get what you pay for, and they tried to on the cheap side. It didn't work. If you're going to go the route, you need to go a route for a human resource person. And there's a need for it. Don't get me wrong. There's a need for it. It's
I
council
think,
always come up.
yeah, I think it's a need for it, and if she's certified for it.
But no, she's not that certified.
Oh,
She
okay.
can do some, and she will do some, but not,
So forgive my ignorance here. I mean, I don't disagree. This may be a great idea, but I understand the concept of HR. You know, but I don't really understand the bones of what happens in that position. And I don't know even enough to say these are the expectations of the person that we should have. I mean, I get that when you get a new hire, you have them fill out, the appropriate paperwork and, give them your routing number and a check for your direct deposit and all that good stuff. But, what other stuff needs to be done? I just don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert at this.
HR maintain compliance. They're the go-in between employees to make sure that they're protected, their rights, or whatever concerns they have. A variety of things. Like what we're talking about, bridging the service.
Like days off and all that
Days
stuff.
off, all that,
Benefits.
benefits.
what do you think we pay a person?
What about like,
I was asking Twain.
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
it's all right, just because she brought it up.
I would say, Mark, what would you say, how many employees we have total?
110.
110? Probably about,
One of the gentlemen who works for Mr. Kinesics, his wife is an HR person. So actually reached out to her to come to work for them, and they couldn't afford her.
Yeah, what is the going rate? I don't know.
That's what I asked.
I have no idea.
Well, it's gonna be,
Similar to a town manager salary.
oh, no. I would say somewhere around,
I would say base 70 to
So
100,000.
why don't we do this? Toya, can you go back and talk with your HR person at
Will
the
do.
county and find out? 'Cause I mean, again, I'm not that qualified. Mark raised some good questions and find out what the going, I don't know what the going rate is.
county's got a lot more employees than we do.
Just an idea, just in general.
Will do.
We can go from there.
Mhm.
I like our HR department.
I do too.
County.
Yeah.
Or where you could go there, you're interested, talk to them, say, hey, what's the going rate? Or what do you, I don't have a clue.
Well, if you know their names, you could just type it into Gateway, right?
All right?
Well, you can do that
You
too.
can.
That's an idea. If I don't know their names, like I have no idea.
You can find out, yeah,
You can do that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because that's pretty awkward to walk up to be like, hey, how much do you make?
I'm doing a survey.
Yeah. Survey says. Yeah.
Report back.
And then
Oh,
if
thank
we are
you.
gonna do that, I think at some point we should figure out the expectations and qualifications we require. Because I don't even know. I'm sure there are certifications out there and things that people are supposed to have. And I don't even, is it a license? Is it just a certification?
Yeah, it's a degree, HR.
I just don't know enough
Mhm.
about it because it's not my wheelhouse.
And this would tie into something you've talked about before, a new town hall. I hate to bring that up, but
Mhm.
I mean, especially the conditions are there right now, but if you're gonna go the route you're saying, I mean, we got Mr. Browski in our Board of Sanitary room. That's where his office is at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But people like HR as well as Dawn and payroll actually need to have their own office that is.
Yeah,
private. Yeah.
Exactly.
And Dawn's in a computer room, isn't she?
She's Dawn's in a computer room, correct,
Mhm.
you know.
The
and,
computer room?
Yeah. she
But it
is-
doesn't leak.
Yeah,
So.
Wow. I didn't realize that there was a computer room.
that is, well, that was the
Back
computer
there in
room.
the corner.
Pretty
Was,
impressive. I know her office, but I
Yeah.
didn't know it was the computer room.
yeah.
You know, so you're gonna have to do some, finagling or maybe, gonna talk about some, maybe, I know downstairs is pretty moldy, but maybe some, I don't know.
That cannot be up to code.
No, I don't think
No.
so.
Talk
Have
about
to
a
wear a
bag.
mask.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yikes. Okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. And the last topic, I'll turn over to you, to Mark, you one who brought it up.
Sure.
You got it.
All right, so I proposed an ordinance basically to try and cut down on some of the, I guess, red tape, make our meetings a little bit more efficient. And I went through and I just looked at the ordinance as it currently reads. I've got some ideas. I know that maybe not all of the ideas are popular, but I thought, what the heck, I'm gonna throw everything out there and see what we can do. So there is this theory in psychology, when you set a deadline for yourself, you tend to be more productive and more efficient in getting to your task. And I noticed this about what I do, right? When I write a brief for one of my cases, if I'm under the gun, if I'm under a deadline, I actually can, if I can focus and write and just get it done and do the research, I'm way more efficient if I have a timeline and I know what to do a certain day, instead of doing a little bit here, dabbling, talking, getting distracted, and it'll never get done unless there's a deadline. So I'm a huge fan of doing that. And I thought one way to do it is we could, we have 4 meetings a month, right? What we could do is we could reduce our number of meetings and basically force us to become more efficient. I noticed that I would actually ask all of you to go onto YouTube and look for the Town of Griffith meetings. They have similar length agendas and they get done in well less than an hour. I mean, it's usually like 30 minutes, something like that. And it's always been amazing to me that they can cut through the red tape that quickly. So I thought, hey, it would be worth a try. I sent out an email with a couple of secondary sources today. There's a study from MIT, the American Psychological Association, and there was a third study that I quoted. But basically, they find when you set deadlines and goals for yourself, you can get things done in a more efficient and faster manner. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. And I've done some other tweaks to the ordinance too. So I've reduced the number of meetings. I've also set it so that there's an automatic adjournment time, so that if we don't get it done in an hour, it doesn't get done. We got moved to the next meeting. Roll call at the beginning, instead of taking the time to go, Counselor Smith, Counselor Shockey, Counselor Zeman, Counselor Sheeman, Counselor Black, we could just do a silent roll call, and that way clerk treasurer sees who's here, marks it down. That saves us 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Matters listed on the agenda. We have so many often times where we have just a moving of funds from one area to another area, and everybody votes yes, and it's a 5-0 unanimous thing. And it's just required to go through this process. If we didn't have the whole process of doing, well, there's a motion, and then there's a second, and then there's discussion. If we just agreed through unanimous consent to get through those portions of it where it's not contested, and we're just essentially moving funds from one fund to the next fund, we would save a ton of time and be way more streamlined in what we can get done. Now, the way I wrote it is that if there is an objection, if somebody says, hey, I do want to debate this, it would only just take one of us to say, hey, wait a second, I want to debate this issue. And then it would require that second, and that the debate on the issue, and then we could go through the roll call vote instead of doing unanimous consent. That way, each of us functionally has a veto. And if you want to debate something, great, we can do that. Let's see. The other thing that I was just looking at, the Robert's Rules of Order. I don't know if anyone's actually reviewed those ever,
Yeah.
but it's 214 pages of a whole lot of fun. I have the book at home and I meant to bring it with me tonight, but it was originally published, and I have the date here, in 1876, right? And it is just the most arcane set of rules that I've ever seen. You know, I mean, it's really hard to follow. And you're talking to a guy with a law license, and I actually know how to read this stuff, and it's still very difficult to find our way around. If you look at our ordinance, we are still operating on the 11th edition. It's since been revised. I don't know how you can revise it this much, but it's now, I think, up to the 12th edition. But I'm just like, I don't see the utility in using these arcane parliamentary procedures. I think that we could get things done quicker and not have all of the delay if we got rid of some of these old school things. So I know that was a lot, and that's kind of the overview of what I was proposing. I've given you the draft ordinance. Maybe some of you don't like certain sections, maybe you like others. I don't know, but I'm bringing it to the group, and I thought I would throw it out there to try and become more efficient with our time.
I think that in an effort to become more efficient, we need to focus on the things we're not doing now. We need to improve our communication before meetings, during study sessions, instead of at meetings where we drag it out, you know, sometimes butting heads with each other instead of having actual conversation. I think we lose a lot of time there. I think honestly, if we worked on, we'd have a lot more time. Previous councils have been able to do it in an hour, hour and a half. I think, you know, a lot of us are new, and so we're learning things, but we're also, you know, we expound quite a bit more than is necessary. And so if we could keep our own comments down, you know, maybe speak privately with one another. Hey, you know, I think you're not, you know, that type of thing. So that we are organized when we get to the dias.
Did you say the Griffith meetings go?
They're like, I think they're like 30 minutes. I mean,
Larry,
it's under an
Start
hour.
going to some Griffith meetings and show them what a 2-hour meeting's all about.
How is it that the public is ever going to be opining on anything that y'all are up to if you're all just settling this all in the back room?
Yeah, well, all right, no, no public
I-
comments.
I-
Study session, and nobody gets to hear about it until.
Barry, we used to do
there's
it in an
unanimous
hour.
consent
Yeah.
to move on.
No, I mean, you know, the thing I really like here, Mark, and this is the 6:30 to 7:30. I mean, we still got to keep going with the 4 meetings a month. But if we could just keep it from 6:30 to 7:30, because let's face it, I mean, a lot of our meetings, we get off track, and I'm the big, I mean, I'll admit I get off track too, telling
Well,
stories and
Well,
stuff
your
like
kidneys,
that. So if
about
we
your
can keep
kidneys.
it, I think we could.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, you're in charge of the agenda.
Yes.
That's up to you. So if you think this agenda is going to be too much one night, maybe there's things you can postpone. And you're also in charge of this session. So if you got people going off on a tangent or, you know, talking about my kid's doing this or so-and-so I know do this, it's up to you to bring it back
All
and say,
right.
okay, let's go back to this discussion. And I think what, 2 meetings before, we had a half-hour meeting, right? It was so fast. It was a small thing. I mean, lately, we've had the tax thing and the budgets and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's taken
required
tons
a
of
lot of
time, sure.
times. Look, we took this job, not to worry how much time we put in it or how much we're getting paid per hour. We took this job to do the right thing for the town of Highland. And I have no problem staying and doing what I have to do the work that they elected us to do. There's a possibility we can have 1 study session a month. I'm not looking to take time off, but it's possible. But as far as the Robert's Rules of Order, I mean, we've had some pretty chaotic meetings here. If you have no order, that only is going to lead to more chaos. So
Mark, I haven't seen my gavel in a long time.
It's still over to have that. Here, I'll give it to you.
So, you know, make it more efficient. I think we had a town manager, because I think there's a lot of times we discuss things that the town, well, it's okay.
I wonder
You can
why we
look your
keep
head back.
bringing up a town
That we
manager.
are discuss things the town
Who's off
manager can
track
take
now?
off without coming to the council. And
Why
so
I-
if you want to make things more efficient, that's probably another way to go.
From our office, our perspective, we'll do whatever the council
Right.
wants.
Yeah.
However, we do enjoy, from our vendor's point of view, our employees, we do pay people every 2 months and the council approves it, or every 2 weeks. The council approves it every.
Right.
The accounts payable.
Yeah,
and the-
So we have to be here to sign. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but we'll do whatever you.
Oh, yeah.
the council
No,
wants
yeah,
to do.
I-
That's
I
what
get
we
it.
can.
Yeah, I
Hi,
mean,
Mayor.
it's 8:30. We've been here for an hour and a half, and if there's not much more discussion, we're done. So it's not an hour and a half is not
Yeah,
bad.
I want to say something. I noticed Mr. Sheeman brings up a town manager a lot.
I do.
And may I ask why? I want to
Well,
know.
because I think it'd be more efficient. There, it would have accountability to everybody. All the towns around us have one. It brings things to the council in a more clear way where we don't have to sit and debate some things. Some things he can do on his own without, we, as a council, we should look at the big picture. And sometimes we don't look at the big picture or the future. We're looking at, transferring $2,000, you know what I'm saying? And so
I
we should
noticed
be
you
looking
said
about
he.
policy and procedures and things that
Mhm.
really affect the whole town, rather than some of this minutia that we go through. And that's why all the towns around us have one. I always get kidded why we don't have one. I mean, I just think it'd be more efficient, whatever you want to call him, manager, administrator, executive. I don't care what title you give him. He can work with all the departments, he has meetings with the department heads every week, gets what their needs are. And whatever they need, then he comes to the council with it. He's got it all right here. This is what I'm talking about today. So I've always been in favor of one because I do think we tend to do things more as a council that we don't have to deal with. And I think our meetings would be shorter. Anyway, I'm also could be in favor. We could have, like we did in the past, Mark, have study sessions before the plenary, right? We could do a 5:30. We could do a 5:30 study, and at 7 we go to the, right? We've done that in the past. If you want to eliminate Monday a month that you want to eliminate, we could do that, right? Bernie, what do you think? I mean, it's up to you guys, but I mean, if you want to try to make it, they've done that in the past. Or they've had study sessions on Saturday mornings, right?
For the first several years, we've met every Saturday.
Oh, God. when you bring
Remember that?
up.
Remember that? We
But-
did.
But
I know.
yeah, I mean, if you want to do study sessions at 5 or 5:30 before 7 o'clock meeting, if we get done early, we'll just have to wait till 7. If we don't, and if we don't get done by 7 o'clock when the study, then it will have to end because by law, we have to start the 7 o'clock meeting because that's what we posted. I don't know. That's what I think. If you want to eliminate one Monday a month that we don't have a meeting, that's fine.
Just again, remember tomorrow's your executive session with the sanitary board.
Mhm.
And then next Monday is your budget adoption.
Right, 10th.
You have to be in attendance. You cannot do anything Zoom or virtual. You gotta be here to vote on this. One of the 2 or 3 meetings you're required to be at to be here for that.
Got it.
All right, so just so I'm clear, I'm getting a little bit of mixed signals on my proposal. I'm getting some people that are like, this sucks, don't do it. I'm getting some that are like, well, what if we tweaked it? Are we throwing it all away? Are we taking parts that are good? Are we chucking some parts? I mean, what is the feedback? Other than hell no, move on.
I would say throw it out as far as being an ordinance, but like Roger suggested, maybe we could tweak our procedures a little based on the thoughts we've come up with tonight.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. Okay. I mean, it's like, I can't imagine how, it's just amazing to me that people are in the thought process of like, hey, let's spend more time on getting less stuff done. It just seems crazy to me, but okay.
I'm not against that at all, but
If you go,
Your
Mark,
proposal is
if you go
great.
back to, and again, from the business side, if you look at, going by what Mr. Shockey said, time management. Time management says your deadline is 5:30. You cannot work past 5:30. You better have it done.
Right,
Bottom line.
exactly.
How it works.
Deadlines help me a lot
You know?
every day.
That's what I said, 7:30 deadline,
I would love that.
6:30, 7:30.
despite adhering to the public comment of 2 minutes, in our ordinance, it also says that anything discussed on the council,
It's 5
each
minutes.
5 minutes for each person. So I think if we adhere to that, that would help. Again, not to be anything, but that's the chairman's job to make sure that thing moves along. And like I say, we're done here, hour and a half, it's not a big deal. I don't know. I kind of like starting the meetings at 7 o'clock, to be honest with you, rather than 6:30.
Used to do.
Yeah.
Why?
I
you
know,
wanna
just
be
gives
here
me
until like
time,
9?
eat dinner and get things done before I have to.
This is
rush
my
out.
bedtime already.
Your bedtime? Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Yikes.
Anyway,
I don't understand you.
but,
All right,
Me
so,
too.
so these two are a no. Bernie says modify.
Yeah.
Toya, can we work together on some of it at least?
No.
Can I cut some of it? Would it make, I don't know.
Trash.
Wow. Trash. And like, I think the most frustrating part is like, literally, when is the last time you've written a proposed ordinance, Mr. Sheehan?
It's not
Zero
my job.
times.
It's not my job to write proposed ordinances. My
Really?
job is to decide, vote on them.
Really?
Yeah, it
So
is.
you just wait for something to come to you? I mean, I'm
We-
not
we-
trying to
We
be
do that all the
crazy
time
here,
here.
but
We do.
literally-
How many ordinances we passed this year that I never initiated? Tons of them.
Literally, everything that I come up with, term limits, no, that's a terrible idea.
Well, that's
right?
why,
Uh,
that's why you want this, because you've been knocked down on everything you propose. So
Oh,
you
just-
think you'll have free reign.
I'm just trying to get something reasonable done in our town.
I don't
So
think
here
this
we
is,
are carrying on. and
I
you're-
really
Oh my
don't think this
God.
is reasonable, to be honest with you.
All right, are we done? All right.
No, they're
Yes.
not gonna throw it out for some of it.
I mean, I'll cut out what I need to cut out. Yeah, we took a vote. It was, 4-1.
Huh? Oh, meeting adjourned. Okay.
It was literally a 4-1.